Toronto Maple Leafs fans have not paid attention to the NHL Draft Lottery over the past decade because we haven't been in it. This year, as we know, it is a completely different story. And there are several intriguing storylines for Leafs fans, namely, will the team even pick? So 10 years after the Toronto Maple Leafs drafted Austin Matthews first overall, we're going to talk about the draft lottery and what it means for Maple Leafs fans. We will start with a high-level overview. What is the draft lottery today? And then we're going to talk about where the Leafs fit in. How do they pick? How does the pick go to Boston? What does that look like? What are the odds? This is The Morning Whistle. My name is Aaron Nerone. Leafs fans, can you believe it has been 10 years since we picked Austin Matthews first overall? We were all so young and innocent then. It's been a while since we paid attention, so I'm going to start by running down the rules of the draft lottery. It has changed since 2016, so let's get into it. In its current iteration, the NHL Draft Lottery is really two draws. There's a draw to determine who picks first overall, and there's a draw to determine who picks second overall. And the worst 16 teams in the league, the 16 teams that missed the playoffs, are a part of it. Picks 3 to 16 then get allocated amongst the teams that didn't win the lottery. Those odds are weighted based on standing in the regular season. And something to note, a team can only move up a maximum of 10 spots. So if the 15th worst team in the NHL wins the lottery, they can move up to 5th. That would mean the worst two teams would still pick 1 and 2. Here are how the odds work. The worst team has an 18.5% chance of winning either of the draws. The second worst team has a 13.5% chance. Third has an 11.5% chance, and it scales down from there. We know Vancouver's already going to be the worst team in the league, and they have a 25% chance of picking first. The 18.5% chance of them winning the lottery, and there's 7.5 points for other teams past 11 that could win but not move up to first. The second place team has an 18.8% chance of picking second and could not drop lower than third. But interestingly, their chance of picking third is actually quite high at 55%. So how does this impact Toronto? We're in the bottom 10 in the NHL, so we have a shot at first overall. But we more than likely will not get to pick, thanks to the Brandon Carlo trade made last year. Quick reminder, at last year's deadline, Brad traded our first-round pick to Boston in exchange for Brandon Carlo, with a condition. If the Leafs landed a top 5 pick, we'd keep the pick and then send next year's first-rounder to Boston. So put simply, if we land a pick 1 to 5, we keep our pick. If we land a pick that's 6 or later, it goes to Boston. And right now, we are 7 last in the NHL. We could drop to 6th or 5th, but let's look at some scenarios. What's the chance of us keeping the pick if we stay at 7th? And what about if we drop to 5th last? How does it change? So let's start with the scenario we stay where we are right now, 7th last. We'd need to win one of the two lotteries and get either the first overall pick or the second overall pick to get a pick in this year's draft. And there's about a 6.5% chance of winning either of those, which add up to about a 13% chance. Now, if we don't win the lottery, more than likely we would pick either 7th in our same spot or drop to 8th or 9th if teams behind us were to win the lottery. The collective chance of picking 7th, 8th, or 9th adds up to about 87%. So there's an 87% chance we would lose our pick to Boston. What if we drop to 5th? How does that change? Well, our odds of winning one of the lotteries collectively rises not that much. Goes up from 13% to 17%. However, we would also have a 25% chance of staying put at that number 5 slot, meaning that we wouldn't get bumped by a team behind us. So that gives us about a 42% chance of keeping the top 5 pick. What's crazy when you think about it, we would still be more likely to lose the pick than keep it. So, if you're hoping that by dropping a few spots, everything's going to be better, I got news for you. You're still going to be on pins and needles. You're still going to be worried. And knowing Toronto Maple Leaf luck, it probably just means more heartbreak. But we're going to find out. My name's Aaron Arona. This is The Morning Whistle.